Hey guys, Chris here for Thomann Guitars and Basses, and this is my acoustic guitar guide for electric guitar players. And what do I mean by that title? There are so many electric guitar players who play for a few years or a lot of years and just barely ever touch an acoustic guitar. That can have a couple of reasons. First of all, they just enjoy an electric guitar's sound more, which is absolutely legit. It's just a different experience, really. Everything is bigger, the strings are stiffer, etc. So you have to get used to it, and there's a learning curve, for sure. What I want to do today is give you a couple of ideas, maybe a few tips that could be useful to make that transition much more, well, friendly for your hands and just make you feel more comfortable on an acoustic guitar. In case you enjoy these kind of videos, make sure to subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, and of course, leave a comment below in the comment section if you have anything you want to ask or add to what's going on right here. The first tip is kind of obvious, but it's so important that I just cannot leave it out in a video like this. So it's about string gauge. Regular, normal string gauges for steel string acoustic guitars are 11s, 12s, and 13s. That is going to be a massive jump if you're used to 9s or 9.5s, maybe even 10s on an electric guitar. So my recommendation is to start with 10s or 11s at max, even though you will hear a lot of people saying, you cannot do that, that will not sound right. 11s at least, but 12s are better. Don't bother, don't let anyone tell you that it's wrong. Just try it out first. It's gonna be a much easier thing to put your head around and grab those chords and bar chords and everything. And once you're used to that, just grab 11s and see how that feels. And if you're good with that, try 12s, because those will give you more low end and just more volume reserves. The second tip is also kind of obvious, but super important, especially if you're coming from playing electric guitars. Make sure that that acoustic guitar you're about to play is set up as good as possible. I mean a low string action, I mean a proper nut check, like setting up the nut and filing it if necessary, making sure that the bridge saddle is right and the top of the guitar's body is not too moist, which means that the string action would come up, or not too dry, which means that the string action goes down and it might just have fret buzz all over the place. So make sure that the setup is good, because with that you make your life so much easier. That's especially important if you're used to electrics, and this stiffness, this whole experience is just a struggle already on its own, even with a great setup. So that is absolutely crucial to have fun instantly on acoustic guitars. I grabbed this Taylor AD12. It's called because, well, first of all, it's brand new and I wanted to check it out. And second of all, it's a Taylor, and all these guitars come with a ridiculously good setup. Really easy playability. Everything is perfect because that's just what they pay so much attention to. So you can tell. You don't have to get, of course, such an expensive guitar. Every guitar can be set up to have an awesome playability. We have a video we made in our Guitar Tech Tips series here on the channel. I put the link right there. You can check it out and go for it yourself. If the neck is all right, nothing is warped, nothing is in a terrible shape, you can set up every acoustic guitar to play really, really nicely. This third tip is not at all obvious. I think this is one of the most important points here that could help you to feel more comfortable on an acoustic guitar. Try to avoid bends. You can bend on an acoustic guitar, of course, but it will just not work the same way. The long, full note bends with a big vibrato on top, it can work, but most of the times it's nicer if you just try to hammer on or pull off, which is one technique that you can do instead of bending notes, or slide, which is also amazing and works really well in all kinds of styles, whether we're talking about like really old school Mississippi blues or modern pop music. You will find slides and hammer-ons everywhere, it fits, and it's much easier to do, especially if you're playing 12s or 13 gauge strings than if you were to bend all the time. This next tip is only really useful if you are still looking for your future acoustic guitar. If you have something on loan or just looking for something to buy, I highly recommend checking out smaller body acoustic guitars. There are pros and cons, obviously, as always, but a big plus is obviously the comfort, because it just feels much more compact and much closer to a solid body or like a semi-hollow electric guitar, which just makes the whole experience, this swap from electric, much more natural. And you don't have that weird feeling having your shoulder up on a dreadnought or on a, especially on a, like a jumbo. This just works. Like this guitar is a very good example. That's why I've chosen it. It's a smaller concert size instrument that has the triple O's, the double O's, concert size, all of these parlors, all these are smaller body acoustic guitars that just feel so much more comfortable to play. What are the downsides? It's not really a downside, it's just something that you need to be aware of. You will not get that amount of projection, like volume and low end, as what you get on like a bigger body acoustic guitar, which is in most cases absolutely fine, unless you are, I don't know, planning on only playing campfires and you have like 30 people shouting at you. You need to be loud, of course, but otherwise, if you want to fingerpick, if you want to just strum, if you want to play whatever style, a smaller body acoustic guitar will do just as fine, and you'll even have much more articulation in the mid-range, much more focus on the mid-range of your tone than like on a dreadnought or something, which has like lots of volume and a lot of everything. I really, really like these smaller bodies. Highly recommend checking one out. Tip number 5 is to extend power chords. If you're playing electric, especially if you're into rock or rock-related styles, you play a lot of power chords probably. Those will work on acoustic as well, obviously. Still, if you extend those chords and make them real chords, like you put the third in there and make it a minor or major, at least, you don't have to go jazzy or whatever, just make them actual full chords. They just sound so much sweeter and just so much more than just playing those 2 or 3 notes, the 1, 5, and the octave of a power chord. Especially acoustic guitars that have so many frequencies going on, such a hi-fi experience, really, from way down to super sparkly top end. It's nice to benefit from all those frequencies and use as much as you can without overdoing it and, of course, going crazy on it. But if you have a simple chord progression, just 3 chords, try to extend those power chords and you'll hear the difference. I'll show what I mean. And tip number 6 is try to avoid full bar chords, especially at the beginning, because it's tough. It's like this muscle is gonna scream. It's not very nice playing a full song full of F majors and whatever G minors and all those chords where you have to grab all 6 strings and push it down like like a madman. I highly recommend trying to figure out little ways to make it much easier to grab until your hand is strong enough to get through a full gig of bar chords, because singers don't like E minor and E major, apparently. They love F sharp minors and B flat majors. For example, you have your root note on the 6th string, on the E string. Let's say it's an F major, which is such a classic. Instead of doing this, all 4 fingers on the fretboard, you can just leave out the root note. No one will notice that it's not there. Especially if you're playing, like backing a vocalist, or playing with someone else together, like 2 guitars. Just leave this note and concentrate on the lower strings, which is kind of more necessary because of all that sparkle the 1st and the 2nd string offers. So instead of doing this, it's much easier to just do this. Not a huge difference. And if the root note is on the A string, just grab only the root note with the index finger and do the rest with your ring finger, the pinky, or these 3 if you're playing major chords like this. That's up to you, of course. But just leave out the 1st string down there. Just dampen it, or just don't pick it. However you want to proceed, it's much easier for the index finger. So this would be the full bar chord. And this is the easier version, where you only grab the root note. You kind of miss that last note, but it doesn't really matter unless the song needs that top note of your guitar playing. It's a different story, of course, but for most songs, you can actually get away with a lot of bar chords that you sort of cheat, and you save your energy, your muscle power for those few bar chords that really need to sit, and you need the whole fretboard to make it sound original or big enough or loud enough or all of those things. All right, let me know in the comments below what, in your opinion, are the most important tips or little tricks for those who are just getting into playing acoustic guitar after maybe many years of playing electric. You guys take it easy. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, as told before, and we'll see each other in the next video. Bye-bye.